Hello there, this is David Friedman and my co-host Dave Berkus. Welcome to TCA Crossroads, where entrepreneurs and investors connect. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing great. It's a great day in Southern California, David, and so I'm looking forward to the guests we're about to bring on, and he has quite a show, or better yet, quite a background. So
Yeah,
go ahead, tell us about it.
and it's funny. I remember the show that you and I used to do, Ion Business, and you had your section and I had my section.
Right.
And now we have the opportunity to turn the table, so to speak. So without further ado, I am going to bring on our guest. And our guest is Rory Cutaia. Did I get the name right, at least?
Indeed, you did. And Dave and David, it's my pleasure to be with you today.
All right.
Hi,
Well, Rory is the founder of a company called TON Strategy Group or Company with the symbol TONX on the nasty. Formerly Verb Technology. He was the founder, brought him into the public domain, and now is also the creator of a group called Go Fund Yourself, a TV show. And we're going to be talking about that, some implications, what for entrepreneurs, some implications for investors. And it's really interesting because we have Dave Berkus, who's what we call a super angel, and Rory is a super titan. And I'm just going to be the person trying to be in between the two titans. Remember the Titans.
Nice, David. Herd the cats. Okay.
Yeah, I know, herding the cats. So with that in mind, I'm going to just kick it off with a quick question. What's the origin story? What's your background, the backstory for you and TON, as well as most importantly, Go Fund Yourself?
Quick background, started my career practicing law at a prominent firm in New York City, a national law firm. Left to start a business. It was so long ago, I don't even want to remember how long ago, but it was a telecom technology company. Was very fortunate after having been through a lot of ups and downs, as every entrepreneur knows, and sold it for a couple of $100 million, retired. Joined a private equity fund, did that for about 6 years, retired again, got bored, and came back and started a company which was the predecessor to what is now TON Strategy Company, and listed it on NASDAQ, rang the bell. It was one of those bucket list moments for me personally. But through that journey, and when I say journey, it was indeed a journey, I learned a lot about what entrepreneurs experience in starting a company, growing a company, surviving, and in particular, how to capitalize the company and not get eaten alive. And when I say I learned a lot, I learned by doing. So, when you ask what's the impetus behind the show, well, it was together with my partners, Jason Waller and David Meltzer. We really believe in giving back, and in particular, and in a number of different philanthropic ways, but in particular, how do we help entrepreneurs? Because there really isn't a lot of resources available for entrepreneurs besides coaching and so forth. But they need to raise capital. They need to know how to raise capital. They need to do it in a way that doesn't destroy their cap table. How do they do that? Well, with the crowdfunding legislation, it gave entrepreneurs an opportunity to access the capital markets in a way that's not massively dilutive. But what's the big thing that anyone trying to do a crowdfunding round needs? It's the single biggest component of any crowdfunding raise: exposure. How do you get exposure? And how do you get real feedback? Well, that was the impetus behind the show. Let's create a show, give these entrepreneurs seeking to raise capital access to investors. But here's the twist that makes the show so interesting and why it's the #1 show on Cheddar TV right now. While you're watching the show, you're sitting in your living room, you're looking at these entrepreneurs pitch, and you like what you see, you like what you hear, you believe in the passion of the entrepreneur's pitch. you could scan a QR code on the screen and invest in those companies while you're watching the show, all done through appropriate compliance and
Mhm.
regulation. That's what makes this different. That's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it compelling for any entrepreneur seeking to raise capital for their company. And these are registered Reg CF or Reg A offerings. And by pitching to the panel of titans, we're not sharks, we're called titans. I'm one of them, David, Jason are the others. And then we have celebrities that join the panel each week. We're giving them real feedback. What is it about the business that we think is compelling? What is it that needs work, that needs improvement? And we're asking the kinds of questions that the people at home watching as prospective investors would want to ask if they had the opportunity.
Right.
And
So hold on. So let me just try to
go
have a
ahead.
little more of a dialogue. And is this more for the entrepreneur or the investor? Because I'm hearing it's sort of a combination for both,
David, you're so right.
especially for the lower end investor, the ones that contribute or want to contribute through crowdfunding like Indiegogo or WeFund or something like that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
When we planned this, we had both objectives in mind. Give the
Got it.
entrepreneurs exposure, right, which is critical to any successful campaign. But the other side of the coin is what you just mentioned. Give the average everyday person access to an asset class that they would never, ever see. These are the kinds of deals that get done by the sharks, by a lot of these backroom deals, by, let's call them the elites, as people refer to them. And the average everyday person never sees these deals. And some of these deals, if you watch the show, there are some companies on there that if they don't blow up and produce massive returns, I'll be shocked. And this gives the average person the ability to invest $100, $1,000, $10,000, whatever they want to do in these deals, and really have an opportunity to create meaningful returns, again, from an asset class they would never otherwise see.
Mhm.
So, Rory, a couple things just to be sure. You're not a Mark Cuban, so you're not actually writing checks yourself for this unless you just happen to be one of the investors.
We often invest in the companies that are on the show. We typically do it together, the three titans, and yes, we often do it. I mean, we're pretty selective in having and who we pick to be on the show. We want to know that we're going to put something on the screen in front of potential investors that's not only entertaining and interesting, but represents at least potentially a real opportunity. And of course, why wouldn't we put our own money in some of these deals? And we often do.
Okay,
So is there a
so
pay to play aspect? Sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
help me with the channel or channels. You said it so fast, I didn't have a chance to really get it.
It's on Cheddar TV, which is on probably most cable networks around the country. It airs Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then it airs two other times. Cheddar puts it on during the week. So it airs three times during the week, but the primary original spot is at 7 p.m. Eastern on Cheddar. And
Okay.
you'll enjoy the show. You should take a look at it. It's fun. It's interesting. We have some terrific people on, but some of the companies, mind blowing. We've seen the next Elon Musks on this show. Some of the people that come on are absolutely incredible, amazing products and technology.
So tell me about some of the companies and what, give us an example. You know, what is over the last several months, what has been one or two top companies? What have they offered in terms of a product to the market? And is it more consumer? Is it B2B? Is it a combination? I'm trying to
It's
understand it, how it differs from Shark Tank, for example.
Well, it's all across the board. I mean, it's B2B, it's B2C, and it's not limited to any particular sector. So there's technology, there's fashion, there's consumer products. It really there's apps. excuse me, it's a wide variety that appeals to a really broad-based audience of prospective investors. So it's not limited, but some of the examples, and I really don't even want to give any company names because I would really rather they go to the website and take a look at some of the names and go and check them out. But I'll give you some examples of the types of opportunities. One that was really interesting to me was a new data compression technology that compresses data exponentially greater than anything else on the market. So when you think about whether you're a telecom operator or whether you are Amazon on AWS, your costs of operating is based upon how much space your customers' applications are taking up on your servers, and then also the throughput and so the data transfer is based upon how big are these files. Well, if you can compress that down even greater than the best compression technology on the market today, well, what is that worth? Well, in my view, it's probably worth billions. And here's a guy that invented it, he's proven it, he's coming to market with it now, and he's doing a crowdfunding round where investors can come in for, I don't remember exactly what his minimum was, but it was probably between $100 and $1,000. I mean, that's an extraordinary opportunity. And I mean, I could just go on and list some of these. They're really just amazing deals that, again, people would never see.
Rory, have there been any successes, or is it too early?
Well, it's early in the sense that we haven't seen any of them go public yet, and we haven't seen any produce an exit for investors yet. So it's way too early for that. The show's been on, I think we're in season 3 now. The show's been on a little over a year. But we have had many companies get their business plans funded entirely, and they're off and running. Many of them are, generating positive cash already out of the gate. So, yeah, there's some really interesting opportunities here, and I would say that there's been a lot of success stories. Here's one other example of what I would call a success story for a prospective issuer that would want to be on the show. We shoot at what's called the Titan Studios. It's just outside of Los Angeles, and the way the studio is set up, you have the platform where the Titans sit and where the show is actually shot, and then behind a glass wall, there's a large area with couches where everybody could watch the show being shot, packed with prospective investors, deal makers. I mean, it's a really interesting place to visit. I hope the two of you guys come next time we shoot, because it's just an amazing networking opportunity. So we've had issuers come on, shoot their episode, and the people that were there in the studio watching wrote a check before the guy left the studio. He was so impressed with it. I mean, we've had those kinds of things. So before the show aired, these guys are raising capital. So it's an extraordinary opportunity for issuers, and certainly an amazing opportunity for.
Are you setting up LLCs then for the groups of investors so that the cap table doesn't show this large number of investors?
Well, that's already set up in connection with the crowdfunding round that they've put together. And those are managed for the most part by well-known funding portals. So when someone scans the QR code, they're being taken to the funding portal, which is all set up, regulatory compliant, and so it's managed appropriately.
Very good. That's the right
We
answer.
don't get involved with that. Yeah, absolutely.
So you've been around for 3 years. You said you're in the 3rd year. What do you see has changed over the last 3 years as far as themes, valuation, struggles, just giving a perspective to those entrepreneurs that are listening in?
So it's we're in season 3, but the show has been around just over a year right now.
Okay.
I think the first show aired actually last November, I think was the first show. So it's just about a year. But the way we shoot the shows and the way Cheddar airs them, so we're actually in season 3. Frankly, not much has changed in connection with the landscape. The entrepreneurs, all entrepreneurs that I know, still deal with the same exact issues. Many of them are torn between, well, should I go raise capital from VCs? Should I list on the OTC? Should I do a friends and family round? I mean, all of the issues. Should I do a stock deal, a debt deal? You know, what should I do? And so they're all facing the same issues. And on whose advice can I reasonably rely? So they're all facing the same exact issues, and many of them don't know where to turn. And there's not a lot of lawyers that could provide the appropriate advice. There's some really good ones out there, but a lot of them just don't know. And let's face it, you know, VC firms and other sources of capital, they have their own interest in mind, right? They're going to make the best deal they can. They're going to take what they can. If they can take control, they'll take control. They'll put all kinds of covenants in there that may not be so great for the company going forward, may end up completely destroying their cap tables. They're not going to be able to raise money from anybody else. I mean, you guys have lived it too. You know what it's like. This, I think, is a solution. It may not be the only solution. In my mind, it's the best solution.
Okay, well, that sounds a little prejudiced, and as it relates
indeed
to,
it does. It is. Yes,
we are the
indeed
good guys, so it isn't quite as hard for us to envision helping the entrepreneur rather than taking advantage of them. So what have you found as far as valuation in the end? It's only been a year, I realize, but has there been any change in valuation trends?
Well, the companies that get funded and begin operations and are beginning to produce results, and then they're back for the next round of capital, we haven't seen anybody do a down round yet, which is really quite unusual. Typically, you come out with some valuation, and had you come up with that number, you know, you did this, right? And then when you go back to raise, you know, real money, it's a completely different number. So, and I don't think that's ever going to change. I think that's just the reality. I think every entrepreneur, and I'm no exception, when I first started out, you think your company's worth 100 times more than it actually is. And the reality, as you guys know well, is your company's worth what someone's willing to invest in it at, and that's it, and not more. And I think that they are all learning that as they go. Some come out with an offering and nobody's investing in it because the valuation is too high, or it doesn't make sense.
What valuations are people coming out with?
Oh, they're all over the place, David, and rightly so. There
Is
a lot
it
of
5 million? Is it 15 million? Where's the range? And is it pre-seed and seed? I would assume it's in that genre.
Yeah, I would say that it runs from a low of $200,000 enterprise value up to $20 million in enterprise value. Wow. And it just depends on what stage of the business they're at. Are they generating revenue yet? Are they cash flow positive? What's the rest of the capital structure look like? So it's really kind of all over the place.
Then add to that how much you're raising on the average.
It again, that really varies too. And we've had companies on that really only wanted to raise $100,000, and many times our feedback is, guys, you know, you need to really raise a lot more than that. And then we've had companies come on that want to raise $15 million, and we're like, no, you need to start with a much lower number, prove your business, prove your concept, then go back for more later. So it, you know, look, we've come from the trenches of this stuff, and we're giving you real advice, not self-interest advice like you get from other places. We're giving you real advice and real feedback. And I think that makes a difference.
Do you do the advice on camera?
Yes.
Or do you also do it offline in prepping them, or after the fact?
No, the producers of the show will prep the issuers. So no one's coming on having zero experience and being flustered and not know what they're doing. So they're prepped for how to present and appear on the show. But us as the Titans on the panel, we prefer not to know much of anything about the companies before they get up and present, because then the reactions are legit. They're real. So the audience watching is seeing a legit reaction and response to the information that's being presented.
And one follow-on question to that. Can you share with us some common mistakes that these companies are making in storytelling?
Of course.
Or pitching? Just even humorous ones, it would be interesting.
Um, I'm trying to think of the most humorous ones. You get people that are, moving around like this when they're pitching. They're kind of dancing around, which is, you
Yeah,
know, silly. You get people that are trying to read off a script and looking down while they're on TV.
yeah, that's not good.
Notwithstanding having been, coached by the producers in advance. But I think the more like fundamental kinds of issues that we see from time to time are people coming on and they don't know their numbers. You've got to know your numbers.
Yeah.
When we ask you what your revenue is, you got, what did you put in your offering documents, right? How do you come on and you don't know that? Those kinds of things. The biggest mistake anyone could make is being dishonest about something. We haven't had a lot of that, but from time to time it comes up, and that is fatal. Now nobody wants to know you. So be honest. Don't appear to be hiding anything. So as an example of that, we'll get through an entire presentation from someone who really looks interesting. And in connection with the follow-up questions, we learned for the first time that they're pre-revenue. Well, guys, put that right up front. We're pre-revenue, but this is what we're doing. This is our roadmap. This is what we expect to be able to accomplish. This is all in our offering documents. Be upfront about that. There's nothing wrong with being pre-revenue. You got a good plan. You got the right team. It's fine. Everybody's got to start someplace, but be honest about it. Be upfront. So those are sort of, I think, some of the main things that we see happening from time to time, where entrepreneurs are inexperienced and they're afraid to present negative information. You got to do that. You got to be honest, because it's going to come out later anyway. Then you've lost credibility. And as you guys know, you don't have credibility, you toast.
Roy, I'm curious about the size of the average audience. Do you have
we are told by Cheddar that the viewership is somewhere around 3 million.
Oh, nice.
Which is not bad. I don't mind sharing that we have had ongoing interest with some major networks that want to pick up the show. And we'll see where that goes. Nobody should invest in Tonex over that information because that's a big unknown. But it goes to the fact that we're attracting an audience. We're doing something that's really different. We're engaging with an audience in a way by using that ability to scan a code and participate in these investment opportunities. That just hasn't never been done. And we're providing the kind of feedback to entrepreneurs or people like your Shark Tank audience, as an example. Who's watching that show? It's people that are sort of saying, "Well, that could be me. I've got an idea. That if that guy can do it, I can do it." That's a lot of the audience for Shark Tank. Well, this is sort of the same thing, right? These are people that are saying, if they can do it, I can do it. And then you've got people watching Shark Tank saying, man, oh man, that company's amazing. I wish I could invest in it. Why is it only the sharks can invest in it? And now you can invest in it too. See, that's huge.
So let me ask, we're running towards the end of our time, so I wanted to get a couple of more questions in.
Please go.
Where do you see the show going? What's next for Rory and Go Fund Yourself?
I do see, quite honestly, I do see the show on a major network with a much larger audience, with major, promotion dollars behind it. One of the things that I failed to mention before, which I think will become even bigger and more meaningful on a larger platform, is that for those companies that are on and they're presenting, to the extent that they have consumer products. Well, there's another QR code on the screen where people can scan and buy those products in real time. So that's another way that companies coming on that are seeking to raise capital. Well, here's a great way to raise capital: sell your products, and you're not giving up stock for it, right? And then some clever companies, and we've advocated for this as well. When you make an investment in the company, give them the product. So if the product costs $50, Well, for $75, you'll get your share of stock and the product. Bundle it.
That's what a lot
No,
of the crowdfunding platforms, do. It makes sense.
absolutely. So
So one other question, then I'm gonna turn over to Dave for some final questions. How does a company, an entrepreneur apply? Is there a pay-to-play concept that you have? In other
yes.
words, if I'm an entrepreneur, how do I do it? How do you select? And what does it cost to be on your show? Hate to be so
So
blunt, but that's the
no,
reality.
I'm glad that you're asking because I want people to know. You would go to the website, gofundyourself.show, and there's a tab there to click on to complete an application. There is a fee that we charge. There's a cash fee and or a stock fee. And we're happy to take equity in your company in lieu of cash because a lot of companies don't have the cash. That's why they're out raising money. They don't have the cash to do this. But as part of that, excuse me, as part of that, what you'll get is a series of assets, video assets, clips of you on the show, clips that are created specifically for the various social media channels, clips that are also clickable. So when they're distributing this across social media, and by the way, we do it also for them, and the Titans do it, and the guest celebrities are doing it. We're distributing clips of these companies across social media, and people seeing it could click on it and be taken to the place to make an investment or buy the product. So the value proposition is more than just we're going to give you exposure to people that might invest in your company. We're going to give you the marketing assets that you absolutely need.
Okay.
That if you had to buy them and go do it yourself, it would cost you a fortune. No, that if you want to get on the show, or if you want to apply to be on the show, you would go to gofundyourself.show to apply. To see it, you'd find your Cheddar TV on your local cable network, or you can go to cheddar.com, or is it cheddartv.com? I think it's both actually, and you could see episodes of the show there.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you very much, Rory, for coming onto the show.
My pleasure. And we've got to get you guys on as guest Titans. Absolutely. I think your feedback would be invaluable for these
I think it
entrepreneurs.
would be a lot of fun. We're always looking for the best deals for TCA Venture Group invests in a variety of pre-seed, seed, bridge to A, even early A. But we're always looking for the best deals. If you're telling me these best deals are going to be the next, large companies that have good exits, then I'm all ears.
Love to have you on. You will enjoy the heck out of it. Believe me.
Yeah, I think the networking would be great. I really appreciate the time for all those entrepreneurs out there. Good advice from Rory. Hope you got a lot out of it. And look at Cheddar TV. Take a look at some of the companies that pitch. It'll help you with your own pitch. For investors, especially those that are not the accredited investors, but crowdfunding type investors, if you want to get involved. I think your model where you have a QR code that enables me to invest is really cool. I love that idea to enable us to enable a large number of people to invest. And with that, again, I echo what David said. Thank you so much for being on. I hope you are extremely successful. Great wishes for the holiday season. And we hope to see you soon. And with that, to our viewing audience, wishing you well, and I hope you got a lot out of it, and see you next time.